the early criticism of people just trying to read Peat is that it's hard to understand, but I think it is at a level where, especially when it's something that reading about is an interest or feels close to that person, like it's at a level where it sort of sparks that curiosity to keep engaging with that material. And then there is only so much that you can reduce things to. But I think he does a good job of bringing that holistic perspective to a whole bunch of different issues, like theological, environmental, political, and and I think he follows a similar approach with those small rocks versus the big rocks, because typically at the end of his articles he's listing like 6 different things that might be of benefit, and the same thing that if you can do a little bit of a few different things, that'll probably be more robust than just going after one.
Well, yeah, one of the things that has impressed me about getting engaged with Ray's work is that rarely, if ever, I don't remember him ever saying like, you need to do this, or like, here's the box, right? And this is how you should do it. But it is like those 3 or 4 or 5, or like you said, 6 things at the end where he says, these are all energetic ideas that might improve energy. And now it's like he's throwing you back out into experimenting. Like he's saying, hey, you go experiment and figure out, for yourself. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and that's a very difficult thing to do sometimes, as like a coach or a friend, teacher, family member, whatever it may be, where we can get caught up in people wanting people to get the results that they think that they want. And so it can be very frustrating if they're not, doing enough for what you think they need to do. But forcing those things on people is very damaging to relationships and to the concepts themselves as well. And I think people really do have to come to it themselves, and they have to, and more important than what that one problem is, it is that problem solving ability and exploration that individual needs to succeed long term. And so sometimes you just have to give people time to figure it out themselves.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's why I appreciate being able to engage with Ray on like learning, just learning as a general parenting, and like what's the ideal learning environment, because that's everything you just said falls right into that in talking with him, because it really is engendering this being able to have space to figure things out on your own and come up with ideas and test them. And I think that in our culture, it certainly seems like that's a tough pill for a lot of people to swallow. But probably worth trying to craft.
Yeah. And I think in one of Georgie's recent podcasts too, he was talking about one of his family experiences, and his parents not really listening to him, and him trying to help out, and it was like a year or year and a half later where they had heard some things from their friends where that kind of piqued their interest up again. And yeah, I had some of my own family experiences as well, and trying to help the old man out, and again, just coming to the same conclusions, like people really need to figure things out on their own still, and on their own time, and you just have to support them, and it's like it's easy to get too focused on like the biochemistry and the physiology and approaches that are more directed at that. But it is so important just for health to know that people care about you and that you're supported in that way too. And so that relationship can almost do a lot more for people sometimes than, take this or eat that or whatnot.
I think that's a really good reminder to me. There have been so many years of relationship with my wife where I would get excited about something that I'm learning, or like I'll experiment with something and think that it's doing something, whether that's real or perceived, but I'll think that it's having an effect on my energy levels. And then I'll it's a tough, it's tough because I want her to try it, or I'll say, or I'll be excited to share, what I'm learning with her. And I think I'm learning slowly, but I think I'm learning to let that be an organic kind of transpiration. Yeah. Like if she's curious about something I'm doing, and then it stimulates conversation, because it never worked very well when I was like, hey, like, I want you to try this. Like, I think you'd really like it. Like, it just didn't always pan out that well.
Yeah. And it's probably on some people's mind right now too, but just the debates, we don't have to get too far in this, but whether, as a people, like how much should we be nannied, or how much do we again just have to like kind of make our own mistakes and have the freedom to do that.
I think it's a good conversation. I'm okay going there for a few minutes for sure. Just the idea that everyone is their own star, so to speak, right? And that everyone should be allowed to pursue their own path, as long as my path doesn't step on your path, and vice versa, and that kind of thing. But it certainly seems like there's a lot of things going on that are the opposite of that. So it does seem like a kind of an issue.
Yeah, and I'm not a parent currently, but there's a good quote there I heard that you shouldn't try to get the road ready for your kids, just get the kids ready for the road. And there's just so many things out of our control, and really the best thing we can do is nurture people to be self-sufficient, and try to solve their own problems in the best way possible.
I really like that. Yeah, in the Danny Roddy conversation I heard you in, he asked, like, where did that come from, where you're just, you engage in your own learning, and if you're curious about something, you explore it and you figure it out, and you've always kind of had that. And I think you mentioned something about your parents would answer you when you had a question. They would say, just go look it up, or just go figure it out. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. It's funny. I brought that up with them, I think, after that interview, and my they were kind of joking. It wasn't because they were trying to teach me anything. It was just because they didn't know the answer. But either way, it worked out, I think.
It seems like it worked out, and I really respect that. I appreciate that, because I've seen so many other parents who are around their kids, and I see this going on, and it's like someone will have a question, and if the parent doesn't know, they'll feel like they need to have an answer, so they'll almost like make something up. And I think that's far worse than just saying, I don't know. Like, let's explore it.
Yeah, absolutely.